In the EU, stocks are up today. US President Donald Trump has delayed 50% tariffs on the bloc until July 9th. He had threatened the duties from June 1st, claiming talks with the European Union weren't going anywhere. But he reversed course after a phone call with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who's asked for more time to reach a deal. Spokeswoman Paula Pinho says they've agreed with the US to fast-track trade negotiations.
These negotiations are complex, and so they are taking time. Now, with this call, there's now also a new impetus for the negotiations, and we will take it from there. It's positive to see that there's engagement also at the level of the presidents. And from our side, we always said that we were ready to make a deal.
And our other Brussels correspondent, Jack Parrock, is following this story. Jack, what do we know about Ursula von der Leyen's phone call with the US president?
Well, there's a couple of things we know about it. And the first thing is that she instigated it after Trump had said that he would put this blanket 50% tariff on all products going into the United States from the European Union. Von der Leyen, Saturday evening, said, right, I've got to do something about this. And she managed to get Trump on the phone. The other thing we know about it is that she managed to succeed in some sense, because what Trump said after the call is that he would agree to get these negotiations going until July the 9th. That was the original time frame, that they wouldn't impose any specific tariffs. There's a really complex set of tariffs that Trump has sort of announced over the last few months, but the key date now is this July the 9th. And the European Commission, what we heard from the spokespeople, what I've heard from many of the people I've been speaking to over the last 24 hours or so, is that they will put all efforts in to try and get some kind of a negotiation. We heard from Paula Pinho there, this discussion about getting a deal. They're trying to phrase it in the language that Trump uses to try and make this a negotiation, a battle to come to an agreement, which the EU feels it actually already had with the United States, and that this new Trump administration is sort of shifting away from.
Now, put this into perspective for us. How damaging would Trump's proposed tariffs be for the economies of EU member states?
Pretty majorly damaging, I think. And the best way to look at this is not to hear from what the politicians are saying, but rather what the business people are saying. And the CEOs of all of the major, especially car-making companies across the European Union, have said essentially that a 50% tariff would make it unfeasible for them to sell cars in the United States. Jacking the price up by 50% would mean that it would be so hard to compete with American-made cars, but also cars being made in other parts of the world and imported into the United States. And actually, the Trade Commissioner, Maros Sefcovic, is having a call with the CEOs of those companies, specifically car-producing companies, obviously mainly in Germany as well, Europe's economic powerhouse, to try and calm fears and to work out how they're going to go forward. It would be really, really problematic.
Now, there are further talks happening today. What cards does Europe have left to play, and how strong is its hand right now?
That's the big question. Maros Sefcovic is speaking with Howard Lutnick, who's the US Commerce Secretary, They're going to try and iron out some of the details after this call between the two presidents, between von der Leyen and Trump. One of the things that the EU is trying to press on is that actually this trade deficit, which Trump consistently talks about, which is about 159 billion euros in goods going to the United States, is actually offset by services coming into the European Union from the United States. So European consumers, okay, they might not be buying American cars at the same rate that the Americans are buying the Europeans, but we're streaming on Netflix, we're streaming on all of the different HBO services, all of this kind of stuff. And that economic power that we're handing over to the United States really offsets the goods that we're sending. That's the argument from the European Union, and that's what they're trying to push on the Trump administration.
DW's Jack Parrock there reporting from Brussels. Thank you, Jack.